Well, good morning, everybody. Get the hair right here. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 22nd day of October 2020. Well, I did this multiple times, and finally I just rebooted the computer, and then it took forever because it was installing this and that, and I don't know. But maybe I've noticed that on my MacBook, my laptop now, after a point, if I ignore the update, eventually the computer just doesn't work very well. Things stop working well. So I'm hoping that was been the case here and why I had so much trouble. But anyway, it's all done and hopefully this will work now. Anyway, well, it's Mercury retrograde. So, you just kind of have to, expect some of this. And but I have a really good reading here that I was doing, and so I'm going to keep it because I think that it's an interesting one. Fehu is the rune for today. It's the first rune of the Elder Futhark. It means cattle, means wealth, but it's the idea of transactional wealth, basically transactional currency, if you will. And then I did the geomancy rune, and it turned out to be Fortuna Minor. So it's wealth that is, it's lesser fortune. It's, Fortuna Major would be greater fortune, but Fortuna Minor is lesser fortune. But for some geomancers, they look at this as sort of a negative aspect of wealth, in that there's like you're either getting in the way of it, or something external is getting in the way of it. And I kind of got a little excited when I got those two together, and I thought, well, let's see what the cards have to say. And sure enough, I drew the death card, so transformation. So we know something involving wealth and material security. There's going to be some transformation possible with respect to that. Then I drew the Six of Pentacles, which I've always looked at as shared abundance, but there's limitation here as well, because they're not really lifting the guy of means. The wealthy guy's not really lifting the poor people out of anything. They're still on the ground, and he's just, putting a few coins in one of the guy's hands. That's all he's doing. But we'll talk about that. And then we end with the Page of Pentacles. And so something new and undeveloped in terms of wealth and security and all of that. So I think so that's why I say I kept the reading, even though I've done this a million times. I think this is like my sixth time. I just should have rebooted the computer. I haven't had this particular desktop very long, and it's a Mac, and so we'll see. It seems to be following suit with my laptop. So, and I love it. It's working great other than that. But sometimes this software freezes, and I don't really know why. So anyway. So I went ahead and I switched the order of this, and we're going to look at the Six of Pentacles first. Again, I used to look at this a little more generously than I do now. And again, after looking at what's gone on in everyone's lives with respect to dealing with the virus, if you're somebody who is still not working, maybe your place of employment closed. Because of course the PPE funds didn't go, or rather the PPP funds, get the acronym right, they didn't go to everybody. The people the small businesses that it was supposed to go to so that they could remain open, or whether at least in a holding pattern, if not open, keeping their employees on payroll and all of that. If that didn't happen, you see, which it didn't, it went to the very, rich corporations, and that's who it went to. It went to people, unbelievable people that it went to churches. I mean, come on. The point is that what was supposed to happen did not. And so now the fallout for some people in the country, and of course it's not everyone, but because some people are working still, some people, but for others, you see, they're waiting for the second stimulus, which isn't coming. It won't come until we have another president, likely. Although there seems to be a deal right now, it's likely not going to go anywhere. McConnell's indicated it won't. So, and I don't know what's going on with him. There's some pictures floating around, and you got to look at him. His hand is totally bruised, and it doesn't appear to be doctored. But I mean, if it is, then shame on anyone who did that. But if not, so what's going on with him? Something's going on. He's not well or something. But in any way, so please, if this, I mean, come on, put someone else there so that maybe we can actually get something to happen here for people, because he's not thinking right. Why would you not try to help people during a pandemic? It's astonishing. But it made me, watching all of this unfold, it made me rethink this card. Because this is a card, whereas, yeah, he's giving them something, there to help them. It's not lifting them up off the ground. They're not being lifted up out of poverty. In other words, their circumstance is not changing. And so it just, when I pulled it this morning, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, okay, thanks, but, whatever. That's kind of the feeling I had with this. And if you look, he's holding that scales off kind of behind him. And it reminds me of the whole classic picture of somebody lying with their fingers, crossed behind their back. It's like, okay, I'm lying to you, but, I'm scamming you, but don't pay attention to the truth, right? Don't really see what I'm really doing. And that's what this reminds me of. I'm gonna do something that's balanced, but not so much, not really. It's not really in my focus to do that. And that's what this card reminds me of now. And again, it's kind of changed my perception on this based on what I'm seeing happening in this country. So in any event, then we come to the card of death, a card of transformation and purification. We see death riding through the scene on his white horse. Again, the white is about purity. He's got the inverted white rose on his flag. And just being inverted, you see the pentagram when it's normally in its upright position. Here you have to, it's focused downward. And all that means is that there's a transformation of form happening, and in this case, the king is dead, long live the king. The queen is bereft, the son is there, the child is there. And the priest is here giving last rites. But you see over here, you see the sun rising between two pillars. So a new balance is being created. So maybe the issue of wealth, say you attach the issue of wealth with the king, okay? I mean, we're dealing with wealth with Fehu and with Fortuna Minor, okay? And this is one expression of it. One that gives, but it's not enough to matter. We had Andrew Yang talking about what I forget what it's called, the basic income, a universal basic income that people should receive. Given how wealthy this country really is, that people should have, especially those that are below a certain income level, should have a certain amount every month given to them to help lift them out of poverty, so that they can then go on to school. Education should be free, all of this, so that the whole country, then society as a whole, can be elevated as a result of such things. It's not about giving somebody money and then they go play with it. No, that's not what that's about. People have the intrinsic need to grow and change and develop and become more than what they are. Yeah, sure, there's some people that, kind of sit back, but for the most part, most humans, that's not who they are. And so if you had a universal basic income, that would then help, single moms, single dads who are trying to go it alone raising children. That would help them, certainly. But it's how we look at that. We talk about it when we talk about the Affordable Care Act, and even though, it can be improved on, you've got, the government now they're in court, waiting for that to come up, I guess, next month, where they're going to decide whether or not the Supreme Court's going to decide whether or not we get to have our health insurance. Now, for some people, they've not had the best experience with it, but it doesn't mean that there's not an experience out there. If it didn't work for them, let's look at why. All right. And then let's have something new. So again, we're looking at a transformation with the card of death, how we deal with our financial and material security. Currently, right now, when people are in need, it's not happening. we got the one stimulus, but the second one is likely not going to happen, even though right now apparently there's a deal that's looking good, but McConnell's not going to do it. So there you have, some real issues that we need to deal with. Why are you not taking care of the American people is the question that needs to be asked. This is a bit of an illusion. It's fine, but it's not enough, especially when things are really bad, like they are now. And for some businesses, again, they did not receive the financial aid in order to keep them even just in a holding pattern until they could open safely. And the aid that could have happened in that regard to help them open safely and keep their employees safe, keep their customers safe. There's ways to do it but you see, these small businesses, they don't have the money for it. So again, we have here an issue of really Fortuna Minor, kind of really an insulting Fortuna Minor in terms of our transactions with people, to where it's a little but not enough. But now we're going to have some kind of transformation into some kind of other way of looking at that, which brings us to the Page of Pentacles. Now, the pages are similar in nature, I think, to the Fool and to the Aces, because it's all about undeveloped potential. Where are we going to go with this? And he's holding the coin up toward the future. So we have some undeveloped potential for how we manage security. You can look at it in terms of the election, that be the transformative point, where we see the death of something that no longer, has never served us, has only served that individual and whoever handles him, and his family maybe. But now we're going to transition with the death card into a new experience, a new path forward, and one that is shared, perhaps in a different way, that takes care of this. Because here's the thing, we're not talking about something, endless stimulus, unless, of course, we're not going to deal with the virus. We could have all worn masks. A lot of us did, but not everybody. They're forcing places to open that aren't prepared to do so safely. There's some restructuring that may have to go on, especially like in food processing plants, so that you don't get sick, except that didn't happen, and so people get sick. Some die. So you can understand how this was handled contributed to death. It's contributed to people not being able to make ends meet. The focus was, again, on the very rich and not on the people that actually make this country flow, right? So with the Page of Pentacles, though, you're talking about reliability and dependability, something that we don't have now. So whatever illusion is created here that really just keeps people in their place, it doesn't elevate them anywhere. A few coins in your hand is not going to be enough, right, to get you off the street corner, right? It's not going to happen. But then we have a transition, we have a transformation, a purification that happens. So whether on this Jupiter day we're talking about something that's happening today, that we've got lots of stuff that's come out. We know about the Chinese bank account. We've got the deposition from Ghislaine Maxwell that they didn't want to come out. It's 400 and some odd pages. I downloaded it. That's out. We'll see. Lots of people are redacted, I understand, in it. So you'll have to guess there, I suppose. But bottom line is that may prove some things. I guess the 60 Minutes interview didn't go well, and now some flaky version of it's coming out ahead of time, ahead of Sunday's 60 Minutes show. And then apparently there's a bind or a book that was done of blank pages about the healthcare plan. They're saying that's blank. So assuming that's not photoshopped, assuming that's real, you can understand how, there's so much illusion, so much deception at the heart of this whole government right now. Well, not the whole government, but at least his administration. And we have a chance on the 3rd to change that direction so that when we lift someone up, we lift someone up. And I'm not saying that, basic universal income is going to come into play. I don't know that. But it's an interesting idea, especially when you look at it in terms of a pandemic. But it gets people of the mindset that we collectively pay these taxes. What are they being used for? Are they being used to raise the standard of living for everybody so that we're all at least this level? And then we can, college becomes either free or affordable. It's not right now. And so are we going to move in a direction that elevates society and gives us a collective understanding of the tools we need? Wearing a mask is a tool. It's a tool to survive a virus we know nothing about and that we don't have enough treatment for. That's all it is. It's not a statement of sovereignty. It's not a statement of control. It's a statement of I'm going to do whatever I can to help protect myself and others, to give the virus nowhere to spread. Had we done that like other countries had done, we'd likely be in a very different place. Businesses would be open in a much simpler way. But again, it also takes the government coming in and helping and giving aid to businesses, especially small business, that's not going to have enough money to retrofit their stores or their businesses to keep people safe. They're going to need that extra support from the government. That's what it's there for. That's why it's there. It's not to put money in the pocket of the president. So again, we have the card of death. We have a transformation, a transition, a purification. Maybe that's talking about the election on the 3rd. Maybe it's simply talking about, though, shifting our perceptions now enough to where we understand what the truth is and what the impact of that truth has been on our material security. The interference of the Fortuna Minor on our material security, because we don't have it right now. And so what intention are we going to cast of a better way of transacting with one another with the Fehu energy? Well, it has to be on a shared path forward. It has to be with a shared understanding of what's really been going on. It's all been smoke and mirrors, just like, the whole idea of the stock market being so high. Well, that's because the Fed has injected money into it that has made that happen, not because it actually reflects what's going on in terms of commerce. So again, it's all been smoke and mirrors telling you, oh yeah, everything's great, when it really isn't. You talk to common people, it's like, really, where? If you're at a certain income level, sure, might be doing real well for you, but the average individual, You look at the farmers, you look at all of these people, right, that have, GM closed a plant. There's some, I forget which state it is, I don't know if it's in Ohio or where it is, but there was some kind of plant. And I think a Chinese businessman was involved or something. Anyway, they did all this push for this thing to happen. People lost their jobs, they lost their homes, they lost a lot of stuff, supposed to create thousands of jobs. There's nothing. Virtually nothing, I guess. So it was all a scam. It was all a lie. So what was it? Was it money laundering? What was it? See, again, finances are at the heart of this reading, and how all of that has transacted over the last 4 years has not left us in a place where we can deal with a pandemic. Let's give our pandemic supplies away. Let's not protect our healthcare workers. They're still wearing used stuff. There's still not enough for them to function. And now we're talking, and every time we turn around, you've got another state, what was it, North Dakota, they were talking about on, I think Rachel interviewed the mayor of Fargo. And I think they were down to 1 or 2 ICU beds, and other areas in the state don't have any. And you're seeing a big spike in the Dakotas right now. Well, you're seeing a big spike everywhere. most of the states in the country are spiking. So again, it was a misuse of resources, or a non-use of resources, or giving them away to Russia or someplace else, instead of taking care of the people here. So again, with the card of death, we have a way now of taking a look at what's really going on and understanding the truth about it, and shifting our perception to a new, concept, a new understanding, so that we can make the change we need to make. And I mean, you can again, look at this in terms of shifting perception, or you can look at this in terms of the election itself, I suppose. But understand that the material security of the nation, of the individual, of the family, has been so decimated, and so it by unhinged policies, that it makes you wonder, so where's the money going? Who's pocketing it? Because it sure as heck isn't trickling down to the American people, not the ones who need it. So I decided again to keep this reading, because I think that it thoroughly describes what's going on. And I had heard last night, and I'd also read that there was possibly some kind of a deal struck between Treasury and the House, but no matter what the House does, the Senate's not going to act. And how is that not criminal, to leave people in this position? It's like, here, I'll give you a few crusts of bread. It's my leftovers. And people are supposed to keep their kids safe and healthy and well and fed. The number of people that are going to food banks right now that are in line. Long lines. They're in their cars. Long lines trying to get a couple of boxes of food. In this country? There's something terribly wrong, that if a federal government, if an administration will not see the damage, it's like herd immunity. All right, they're talking about having herd immunity do this, because they're not gonna tell the truth to anybody. They're not gonna invest anyone and their own sense of personal responsibility into the equation. So consequently, is that what we're seeing now monetarily? Is it a monetary herd immunity, getting rid of the people that, are too poor to survive? What is this? Again, whatever it is, we need a shift in perception. We need a shift in ideas. We need a shift in from accepting the situation as it's doled out to us, to the awareness that didn't need to happen, and it doesn't need to happen the way it is. I mean, can you imagine in this country, no help for the small business? The billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars in that stimulus package, and nothing to really help the small businesses? When the small business is the backbone of our society? It's not the corporations. It's not the Fed moving money around to artificially inflate the stock market to make everything's great. No, it's not. I don't know. We need something to shift. And I think that the reading's telling us on this 22 day, this Jupiter day, this maximize your potential day, take a look what's really going on. Get angry. You should. Anyhow, that has to suffice until Monday, when I'll come back. We'll do it all over again. So click subscribe. I'd love you to do that. I look forward to the day when we can just talk about this in terms of what's going on in our personal lives. Unfortunately, what's happening collectively is impacting so many. Right now, we just can't do that. We've got to incorporate the whole thing. Tarot's about our lives. Runes are about our lives, and our lives are more than just what's happening in our own psyche. It's about our entire life. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, because this gives us an idea that we all matter, right? We all matter, not just a chosen few, but we all matter. And I think that if this whole 4-year experience has taught us anything, it's that, and that we have to come together in a shared purpose. In a way that elevates society, that gets us on the right path. We can argue about what that looks like all we want to, and that's fine. But we just have the notion that we need to get there. So, and we've lost it. We've lost it because some guy has decided that self-dealing is the only way. I'm just going to lie, and bank on people believing him. So anyhow, we have a chance here coming up to change that. Please vote. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk again on Monday. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Wear a mask if you go out and about around anyone at all. Inside or out, I don't care where you are. If you're outside your home, put a mask on. And blessed be.